Am I live? Can you hear me? Okay. Hello. I am now connecting to IAAH Radio Plus. Hi, YouTube. Hola, mi amores. On IAAH Plus. Hello there. How's everyone out there doing? I'm just waiting so this can catch up the loop. How's all the best DJs and the best channel in town today? How you doing out there? I hope this day suits all of you. It's kind of brisk out here. Um, I'm indoors today. There is no nature day for me. I froze. Okay, I figured that. That's why I stayed silent. Am I good now? Anyway, there's high winds, so it will not stop my show. Getting that message out to you all. Hi, I'm JudgeDesire for Knowledge. Thank you for checking me out on IAAH Radio Plus, tuning in there. How you doing? And you, my subscribers on YouTube, follow my page on Facebook. Just started a page up there. Come follow me there. I'll put up my best grilling shorts and stuff like that. And I also have other pages on all social media. Come check that out. So this week on Legal Matters, I do a monthly Legal Matters. So Know Your Truth, Real Talk will return next week. So look out for that. Very good, hot topic. And so monthly, I do the On Legal Matters show, which is basically on legal matters, as it states. And so this week of Legal Matters, I decided to do on steps to take when pulled over by New York City police. This can be for any police, but the laws in each state is different. So be careful of the laws in your state. Check that out first. But this is for New York City and New York State laws. Basically because that's where I work in New York. So I'm going to, of course, update you on all the terminologies, rules, and regulations in this state. If you want to join this channel and it's outside your state, please check your out of state information first and apply what you can there to what I'm going to state in here, because the holidays are coming up and a lot of us are going to be traveling, which means more police out. This is for about traffic and being pulled over. So more police are going to be out there. And if you're driving right now, just make sure your hands free, because that's another thing. I do not touch your phone for anything, because that's a new law. I have that video up. You can go either check that on my channel here. If you're on IAAH Plus, I'm not sure if they archive it, but I'm sure they do. And the title would state the new no touch laws. From what I know, I spoke on New York State law, but those laws are for at least 30 states right now. And it's beaming. It's going to many states. But go check out that video. Today, it's on steps to take when pulled over by New York City police. Okay? So with that being said, this is to show you when you're confronted and pulled over by police that these are the best steps that I, in my opinion, okay, it's not facts, but I put these together that would assist you with a way to handle the situation. First, you pull over safely, right? As soon as you see the flashing lights, don't forget, don't get nervous. We all do. But as soon as you see the flashing lights, unless you were running from the law, doing drugs in your car, these are the things you shouldn't be doing, then you have no reason to fear police. Okay? You have nothing to hide. Yes, they infringe on our privacy, but it's safety reasons, we are told, and that's the truth, that they have to have compliance with safety of the public, protecting us. All right. So basically, this is a part of protecting us, because there are some people that aren't following the rules on the road, and it can be in danger for the public. So that's their job. As soon as you see the flashing lights or hear the sound of a siren, signal and pull over to the right side of the street or highway as soon as it is safe. This way, you're allowing the police to know you are complying with them. For example, if it's in a congested area, the right shoulder a parking lane or a side street, anywhere where you can get to safely. If it's dark and unsafe, drive slowly to a well lit or populated area. Turn on your hazard lights to signal compliance. In other words, you're complying with the officer that's pulling you over. Now, I've noticed a lot of people are using sirens, not sirens, but lights, flashing lights that are not police. So be really careful of that. If you're frightened to pull over, I suggest that you call the police themselves and say, I don't believe this is the police and I don't want to pull over, the nearest precinct, or 911. Okay, because you're not going to know where that precinct is, and say that you're afraid that someone is trying to pull you over that may be police, but it isn't, and you're not sure. And I'm just adding this in. Um, they will actually be able to verify whether that is an actual cop pulling you over. So I think that's a smart move. I just wanted to add that in this because I didn't take that in my notes at all, but it just came to me that we have so many tricksters out here playing law enforcement that are robbers, rapists, kidnappers. We have the so much crime going on, especially during the holidays, that you want to keep safe. Human trafficking, things like that. So, but make sure you're safe. And if you feel unsure, call 911. All right. Once stopped, put the car in park and turn off the engine. Make sure to keep your seatbelt fastened. There's a reason for that. I believe that by keeping your seatbelt fastened, you can't make big major moves, and the cop won't get jumpity. In other words, he won't be nervous because they're already nervous because they don't know what they're confronting. So just because they have guns doesn't mean that they're not nervous too. They don't know what you have. Some people are criminals riding with warrants, open warrants, and things like that. And it has been in the past where people do not follow rules, shoot, kill, and whatever. But the point, or run. And so, in order to have compliance and you want to show that you're doing your part, you keep your seatbelt fastened. Another thing, number two, keep hands visible where police can see them. Now, that's very important because one little move, if you have a nervous cop, because they're supposed to be trained, but they're human, they've been shot at many times before. So basically, they're going to be on the lookout. So keep your hands visible where police can see them. Place both hands on the steering wheel, palms up if possible, because that's really good. That way you don't look like you're hiding anything in your hands. And I suggest if there's passengers to ask them to also keep their hands visible in front of them on the dashboard for safety reasons. Feel that you need to do so, because depending on the personality of the officer that pulls you over, we know everybody's not 100%, whether they're regular civilians or police. You got bad police, you got good police. Not many are bad, but most of the majority are racist or whatever hate or malice they have for whatever cause or means. The same goes for individual civilians. So therefore, we don't know what the attitude or personality of that person's going to be. So therefore, you keep everything visible so that they're not shooting at you. Do not reach for your license or registration until asked to do so. There's a real good reason for that, because then they may assume that you are reaching for your weapon or a weapon. All right. Some of us are licensed and some are not. They don't know that. They're pulling you over. They're just going to check your license now. They don't know all of this yet. 3, wait for instructions when officer approaches. Are you what? Retracted? Oh, okay. All right. Wait for instructions when officer approaches. And this is how you wait for the instructions as they're coming to you. Stay calm and respectable. Don't make any sudden movements. And when you're asked for your license, registration, and insurance, you tell the officer where each item is located. This is being really smart, before reaching for it. If you feel like you have to do so, and it's actually smart to do that anyway. For instance, my license is in my wallet and my registration is in the glove compartment, so you can tell the officer that most people have their license in their wallet and their registration in their glove compartment. So they already know this, but you're just instructing them ahead of time, just in case on what type of mood or personality this officer has. He's going to do the same to you. He's going to watch your mood, your personality. So make sure you're coming off okay, respectable, because when I see other people making a big thing about something, you don't know why the officer is pulling you over. You have a right to ask that question, but you don't have to be rude about it. What is that going to get you? You're still going to go to court when this guy gives you a ticket, or young lady. You're still going to have to verify information. If you're given a ticket, you're still going to get it. So what's the sense of being rude? Rude is not going to help. It might get you out of a ticket if you're nice and they give you a warning. That has happened many times with friends, myself. They'll warn us and say, listen, you've been good, thank you for complying with me. And you got good cops out there, and then you don't. So you got to know how to handle them, and just to be respectable, because that's going to help you. Believe me, because even after the fact, no matter what they do, you have conformed. You have done what you were supposed to do. You were in compliance with all that you were supposed to do and more. Okay. When you look at stuff, you you're the civilian and they're the officer. So no matter what, they're in control whether you like it or not. So when people think with their egos and all of this that it's going to do something for you, it's actually held against you. So it's not worth it. Why, let's just comply, do what we need to do. If the officer is wrong, you have your day in court. The court is impartial. That's why a lot of them don't like me when I show my shield and stuff, because most police knows that it's not up to them. They only control the streets. Then you go into the courthouse. Many people say, oh, the courts are in with it too. No, they're not. Not most courts that I've known and I've transited to. No, they are not. The police is not happy with a lot of judges and decisions that are made in favor of people that are brought in. So don't always think one-sidedly, because it's not true. Unless you work in the system, you're not going to know. Yes, there are people that have made mistakes, but we are human. So if you're going to come out unruly and barging like you're in control, you're not in control no matter what. You're a civilian. So just let him do his job, or her, and get this over with. And maybe you'll come out of a ticket and maybe not. And then you have your day in court. So be cooperative and be respectful. Address the officer politely. Yes, officer, no, officer. It's easy. I mean, weren't you taught discipline at home? They may not have or may have, but they have the upper hand. They're in control. Once you understand that, you'll become to the point where you'll say to yourself, this is not worth it. I'll wait for my day in court. I'm not going to argue with this man. I'm just going to, or female. I'm just going to let them do their job, because that's what they're doing, whether they have an attitude or not. You don't know what anyone's gone through the day. They don't know what you've gone through. So we can understand some people get angry, but some people go overboard. Like, we're not in the ghetto, in the street corners. This is if you want to drive, this is the rules and regulations that you have to follow. Or don't drive, take a bus, take a cab, take an Uber, let them get in trouble. But as long as you follow these rules, I'm not going to promise you that they'll work in your favor, but you did the right thing, you go to court. All right, that's how it happens. Avoid arguing or interrupting, because a ticket can be contested anyway later in court, not on the roadside. As I'm explaining this, it makes no sense. You're contesting on the roadside. There's no judge. There's no one there, but you and the cop. So who wins? There you go. Keep your tone calm, even if you feel upset or fairly treated. Don't worry about it. There's other steps you can take. Everybody thinks it's over. If I don't do this right now to him, he's dissing me. We're not in the streets. Again, this is not about that. This is about you trying not to pay for a ticket, get a ticket, or points. And so you have your day in court where it may be resolved, where it's dismissed. Who knows? You don't know that. But acting the fool in court or outside of the courthouse, on a roadside, is not professional, and it's not respectable either. Okay. And so I just wanted to say those are the basic steps. Now, know your rights in New York City when you are pulled over by police is really important because the law states that you must have identification when driving. So the New York state laws require drivers to show a valid ID, registration, and proof of insurance. So we all know this, but this is important. If you're missing one, they may or may not um, you might get ticketed for it. If it's suspended, you will get arrested for it. Most officers arrest if you have a suspended license, and that's the reason why you don't have it. So these three things are going to be taken from you: the license, valid license, registration, and proof of insurance. When requested, these are the major documents. Okay. Inspections can be addressed. It's usually on your car. They may want to address you with that, but it's not something where it would be a major issue unless you have no documents on any of the above we just mentioned. Then inspection will become an issue because now you have no documents, nothing on the car, and no inspection. Sometimes this can get you towed, but either way, it's not considered the major proof needed at the time, depending on the validity of your other documents, as long as they're valid. Let me just say that passengers are not required to show identification unless the officer has reasonable suspicion that they committed a crime or violation. So you don't need to show as a passenger any identification to the officer. There is a process that is done, and the tickets get done when I worked in criminal and they had traffic. Let me just say, in New York City, there I have another video. You are not a judge. They are a courtroom. The parking, not parking, the driving violations bureau is not a courthouse. They play to be one, but they're not. Anywhere past the Bronx up to from Yonkers up Westchester County through Orange County, those are courthouses for traffic. They have something in all the counties called a NCIC, and it stands for a database for the National Criminal Information Center. All right, contains data on wanting and missing persons. So that's where they put your information in. They're going to have, if you stole property, if you have firearms, vehicles that were stolen, and other records like outstanding warrants, this is when they'll know if they need to arrest you. Most people with outstanding warrants, and it's not funny, they're not waiting for the police. So they're the ones you hear about that ran off and left or are shooting because they know that this NCIC base is going to, which it stands for National Crime Information Center, is by the FBI, that is going to tell them everything that they need to know about that person that they just put the license information from through that database. Now, getting back to the courthouse, knowing a courthouse, I have another video on that on legal matters. Knowing the difference between a courthouse and an administrative adjudication building, where they just adjudicate, but they play like judges. I just wanted to say, after you leave the Bronx and you go up further, like Yonkers and all the way upstate, there are courthouses that are held for traffic where you have the justice system actually work in your favor. Once you do things like, and I'll mention this again at the end, with tickets, you can actually plea bargain guilty for a parking ticket. Guilty does not mean you go into prison. It's going to show up on your record. A lot of people are misled with the laws when it comes to traffic. That's a violation. It's not as long as it's not a criminal violation. You can plead guilty to a lower violation, something with no points. They might give you something with 1 point, but that's what they do upstate. So if you get pulled over there, those are actual courthouses which have to work as a judicial system. The adjudication centers do not. They basically, you're getting the points. They don't care if you're not guilty. You have to have some serious proof in order to get out of it. And I wanted to make sure you know that, but we'll get back to that. Now, as far as searches, you do not have the consent. They do not have the consent to search your vehicle or your person, which means body search you. Okay, so You may say, "Officer, I do not consent to any searches." The police can still search without consent, though, if they have probable cause, such as a search warrant, or if you are under arrest, they can do so. Let's say that you're doing drugs in your car, whatever the drugs is. Let's say marijuana, since it's legal in New York. This is no, I'm not sure, but it shouldn't be a problem now, I guess, since it's legal. But any other drug that's illegal, let's say that you're giving them probable cause to go and search. They don't need your permission. They're just going to tell you they are. They'll probably handcuff you, which means you're not under arrest yet, and then search your car. So check your laws in your state. What is or if you're driving out of state, it might be legal in this state and not in the other state. So be very careful with that. But with searches, they don't have consent unless you give them consent. So you would say, "Officer, I do not give consent to any searches." And like I said, the only way they can do it was with probable cause, a search warrant, or if you're already under arrest. Recording police is actually legal in New York City and all of the state of New York, to record police. Officers in public places as well. Actually, you can record the police officers in public places. I'm not sure in private places yet because I haven't looked that up. But yeah, you can in places as long as you do not interfere with their duties and you are not obstructing their movement or investigation. So you're not getting in the way of their movement or investigation. You are able, by law in New York City and all of New York State, to record police officers. And you should check if you can do that in private. Um, if you get stop, defend, what? Stop, depending on the state. If you have any weapons, you should let them know. Yes, if you have any weapons and you're have a permit for it or state carry, then you should let the police know ahead of time, because then it will, stop a difficult situation. Thank you. I appreciate you sharing that here in the chat. Great. You do not have to stop recording or hand over your phone because the cop said so. If they say stop recording, you do not have to. And you do not have to hand over your phone in New York State, in New York City, I'm speaking on only, without a warrant. So if they don't have a warrant, they're not allowed to stop your recording as long as you're not getting in their way. And they don't have the right to take your phone. Um, Now, the right to remain silent is what you really have your own choice to do. So you do have the right to remain silent if questioned about more than your identity. I mean, this has nothing to do with traffic and you being pulled over. Then you have the right to remain silent. Um, and especially if they're speaking to you and asking you questions about your identity or vehicle documents that are not required for them to have. You do not have to answer questions like, "Where are you going?" or "Where are you coming from?" No, you do not have to answer that. You can tell an officer, "I am exercising my right to remain silent at this time." They should know that they have no right to ask you where you're going, where you're coming. But a lot of people answer those questions anyway because they feel they can. But if you feel like you don't need to, then you don't have to. After the stop, I suggest, and this is really important because the courts need the identification if something goes wrong or was done that was illegal by the officer. After the stop, write down the officer's name. If you can get that, while you're talking to them, you're going to see the name on the badge. They should have it, right? And if you want, you can actually ask the officer for their identification card to prove that they're an officer as well. If you can get the patrol car number and plate as well, is good. Date, time, and location where you were pulled over. This helps in court. Anything said or done that you want to remember, you write and jot that down. Now, if you believe your rights were violated, you can file a complaint with the NYPD Civilian Complaint Review Board, called the CCRB. Their website would be www.newyorkcity.gov back slash CCRB. There's also a phone number you can also call, 1-800-341-2272, and that is also the CCRB. Most people, if it gets out of hand, you can also contact a civil rights attorney or the New York State Attorney General Civil Rights Division. They have one everywhere. I know because I've seen it being done. And so every state has that when you go to the attorney general, but it's up to you if you want to do attorney on a New York State Attorney General's office. All right. Now, when handling tickets or arrest, this is something I suggest all the time. If issued a ticket or summons, definitely sign it if it needs to be signed. Signing is not an admission of guilt, it is just an acknowledgement that a ticket was received. So some tickets, depending on what state you're in, I'm talking about New York, or what type of ticket they have. If they say I need you to sign for first, and most of all, I always tell everyone to read what you're signing. You're not going to check off guilty or sign to guilty. That ticket is meant for you to either appear in court or mail back. So you're signing for the acknowledgement that a ticket was received. But just in case, you don't know, you can be tricked sometimes. I'm not saying that they're supposed to do that, but you know what? Not everyone follows the laws, and that's where the courts come in to make sure that they did their job. So make sure that you read that ticket, and when they say to sign it, that you're actually reading that it states that you're acknowledging that you receive it and not that you're pleading guilty. If you are arrested, do not resist, even verbally, because verbally is not good either. I seen a lot of people that said, but they didn't do anything physically, but verbally is just as clear. So you are now threatening the officer. So if you are arrested, do not resist, even verbally. All right. Clearly state, I wish to remain silent and I want to speak to an attorney if you are arrested for any reason, or if it was, um, even if it was not something unfair, you can still state that, to not get verbal with them just because it's unfair or whatever. Um, you tell them you want to remain silent and you want to speak to an attorney. That will benefit you at the end in court, because then the judge will see what exactly the steps were that were taken by this officer. And you do not have to answer questions without an attorney present, just to let you know that. I hope everybody knows that they have that right. So when I was talking about those tickets up in New York, you're able to lower the violation to, instead of something with points and that will actually harm your DMV record, your driving record, you can, anywhere in a court, judicial, only judicial place, a courthouse. Anywhere in New York City, those are not courthouses, so they're not going to give you a plea bargain. Take the plea bargain, please. I've seen a lot of people when I worked up in state. I've been telling them, they come back later. I know you told me, but what can I do now? You can't reversal. What you have to do now is file a motion. You have to file an appeal. You got to pay for that. And most likely it might not happen. But it costs you more money not to listen to the actual people that work in the system. I mean, we understand you don't trust police officers and stuff like that, but do trust the workers that are there, at least in the courthouse. I'm not sure with the adjudication department. I don't work for adjudication departments. They do not have to justify much because people do not challenge them. So if you know it's not a court, why don't you challenge them? The more challenge you give, the more clear they'll realize they're not a court, and they have to seek justice for the public, instead of just having everyone sign off guilty and having points put on their license and all these other issues that accumulate with non-judicial places, like those centers, call, I think they're called ticket adjudication centers. Those aren't courts, and they can fool themselves wearing gowns and whatever they want and say that they're a judge. They're hearing officers, lawyers that never made it as a judge on a bench, because you're either elected by your peer or appointed by the governor or the president to become a judge. You don't just sit there because your department told you you would be the greatest. Um, as a hearing as a judge on adjudication um, office. It just kills me the way that they act so much. Whenever and if ever I get a ticket or anything, I address that issue with them. So the more we challenge them, and not in a rude manner, and file against them, they will stop persecuting people in the non-judicial adjudication buildings, centers that give out these tickets. Them and the police, to me, are in cahoots. And that's just my opinion, because you don't get any justice there. You get the justice when you're in an actual courthouse. How you know it's in a courthouse? Research. You all are on social media all day. All you have to do is Google the name. Google it and ask IA, because every one of you all are using it nowadays. Is this a court? Is it a judicial system or non-judicial system? And you'll find out. All right. So I hope that you all take initiative, and if you needed to file any of the things that I said against an officer, that you'll go to the CCRB and or file a complaint within the precinct. It's really hard to do that. Most of them stick together. But then IA, Internal Affairs, will check that officer out. I didn't add that. You can go to the precinct or you can go to the CCRB. This is just the basic steps. So to follow, if you want to have your day in court, you would need to follow the rules of these steps and guidelines. So always answer tickets. They're not going anywhere. It doesn't matter which state you get them. All right. Don't forget that. I've seen people think that they were going to get away. They will be on your driving record, the tickets, until they are cleared, and some of them stay there because they have points attached to them. So if you don't answer any of these tickets, whether or not you may answer and it'll still be on your record because of the points, but if you don't answer, the state will suspend your license. They definitely will, and sometimes your registration too, without you knowing it, because you did not answer within the allotted time. So just go one day over, and I've seen this, and you can get suspended. I'm not sure if you get a day grace, but you will be getting a suspension letter in the mail by your driving DMV or whatever. For New York, it's DMV. We'll just stay there. And they will send you a letter. If you've given false information and you have a false address, be worried, because you're probably suspended without knowledge, and that's not going to be the system's fault. It's going to be your fault. You should have had your license updated. You will be driving suspended, and they're allowed to arrest you. So this is why a lot of people look like they're in shock when they're driving around and the officer pulls them over, and then the officer finds out you're suspended. Then you're like, I didn't even know that. Yes, you did. Obviously, you got a ticket you never addressed. So this is why you keep on top of your ticket, keep on top of your game, and stay clean out there. It's not worth it giving these counties and the state money all the time out of your pocket when you can invest it or save it and go on vacations, right? Do flights. Okay, so I just wanted to get that out to you. And don't forget, today is Saturday, November 1st. So today is called Fall Back. So put your clocks back, switch them back 1 hour tonight. I think it's like 2 o'clock in the morning. Everyone should be at 1 o'clock. All right. And please drive safely out there. Don't be alarmed, I should say, of when police pull you over. Do the steps I just told you to do. If you're concerned, you call 911 to make sure that is a policeman, and you should be okay. Now, if you follow these rules, now, if you go off crazy and stuff and you listen to this, please don't take my guidelines and go, I have a disclosure with that, because not everybody does things the way that they should, and I will definitely disclose that this is basic rules just because it's needed in order for you to get through from the officer pulling you over and then to the court or wherever you need to go after the ticket is written, that you've done your part. If you act outside of character, I cannot help you with that. And with that being said, stay safe, drive safe, okay? And have a great weekend out there. The holidays are coming, and woof, it's no joke. So I'm Judge Desire for Knowledge, bringing you the truth and nothing but the truth on legal matters. With me, Judge Desire for Knowledge, is now adjourned, and I will see you guys next week for Know Your Truth, Real Talk. All right. I hope you all take time to really review what I said here and initiate it in your lives. It will make it much easier. All right. So come check me out next week, Saturday, on a hot topic. Hot, hot, hot. If you want to know what topic that is, check me out day before. I'll put it up on YouTube and check out my social media pages. All right. I'm Judge Desire for Knowledge. I'll see you. Have a great weekend. Ciao.